Welcome, everyone. In today's video, we're not just going to talk about English, we're going to transform the way you speak it.
Many people spend years learning English, watching countless videos, reading grammar books, and memorizing vocabulary. Yet when the moment arrives to speak, their voice disappears, their lips refuse to move, their tongue stiffens, and their mind goes blank. This does not happen because their intelligence is low or their knowledge is weak. It happens because their mouth has never been trained to move like an English speaker. English is not just a language you learn mentally. It is a physical skill that requires your lips, tongue, jaw, and breath to perform movements that are different from your native language. Most learners understand English perfectly, but when they open their mouth, they sound slow, broken, or unnatural because their speaking muscles lack practice. Imagine reading 100 books about push-ups but never doing a single push-up. The moment you try, you collapse because your muscles are untrained. The same happens in English. You may know the words, but your mouth has not been trained to produce them with speed, rhythm, and smoothness. The encouraging truth is that this can change quickly because your mouth is a muscle and muscles transform with consistent, focused practice. With just a few minutes of proper training every day, you can reshape your speaking habits, unlock fluency, and finally express yourself confidently. Your real transformation begins when you understand that fluent English is built through repetition, sound flow, and physical movement rather than passive learning. Most people read silently, watch videos silently, and consume content silently, but silence never builds fluency. Speaking is movement, not memorization, and movement requires muscle memory. When you start warming up your mouth, watching yourself in the mirror while speaking, copying real voices through shadow practice, and repeating sentences in different speeds and emotions, you begin to rewire your mouth and brain together. This is why a short, focused daily routine is more powerful than hours of random study. When you warm up your lips and tongue, you activate muscles you rarely use. When you face yourself in the mirror and speak slowly and confidently, you destroy the fear of judgment. When you shadow a real speaker, matching their tone and rhythm, your speaking pattern begins to imitate natural English. And when you practice one sentence slowly, naturally, emotionally, and then in fast conversational flow, your mouth absorbs the movement like a trained athlete. Fluency is not about speaking perfectly. It is about speaking smoothly, comfortably, and with control. One of the biggest secrets is that fluent speakers do not speak word by word. They group words together into smooth clusters that flow like music. Instead of saying each word separately, they blend them into continuous sound units. This is why they sound natural and confident even when their grammar is simple. Sound clusters such as "what you doing?" "did you eat?" or "let me know" flow out as single rhythmic sounds. When you speak in flow instead of breaking every word, your speech becomes faster, more natural, and more expressive. The more you practice speaking in connected units, the more your mouth learns how English feels. And when you add rhythm, speaking as if your sentence has a beat, your fluency grows even faster. Your mouth starts moving automatically, without hesitation, because rhythm creates memory and memory creates confidence. True fluency is also a mental shift. Most people cannot speak not because they lack knowledge, but because their mind is full of fear. Fear of sounding wrong, fear of being judged, fear of making mistakes. If your mind does not believe in your voice, your mouth will never produce it confidently. That is why you must train your emotions along with your pronunciation. When you speak with energy, your brain stops focusing on correctness and starts focusing on connection. When you speak like an actor, expressing sentences with happiness, anger, surprise, or excitement, you train your mind to let go of fear. When you use your whole body while speaking, your voice becomes stronger and your brain remembers better. When you record yourself and listen back, you begin to understand your real progress. And slowly, your mindset shifts from "what if I make a mistake?" to "this is my voice and I own it." One powerful truth is that repetition is not just repeating words like a robot. Real repetition is intelligent, layered, and intentional. When you repeat a sentence slowly, your mouth learns the movement. When you repeat it in natural flow, your speech becomes smooth. When you add emotion, your expression becomes real. When you say it fast, your reaction speed improves. And when you use the same sentence in different real-life situations, your mind learns context. This is how one sentence becomes part of your natural speaking ability. Doing this with even one meaningful line each day builds long-term fluency. You do not need hundreds of sentences. You need consistent practice with a few powerful ones. Fluency comes from mastery, not quantity. Most learners stay stuck because they spend too much time learning and not enough time training. They watch videos for hours, collect notes, follow pages, and buy books, but they do not speak. Fluency does not grow from knowledge. It grows from use. There are two types of learners. One watches endlessly and stays silent. The other practices briefly but consistently and becomes fluent. The difference is not intelligence, it is action. You may have spent years understanding English, but unless you train your mouth every day, you will continue to freeze in real conversations. Every opportunity you missed, every moment you stayed silent, every time you wanted to speak but couldn't, those moments were not because you lacked ability, but because you lacked training. The beautiful part is that you can change everything in the next 30 days. You can begin with one sentence today, speak it aloud tomorrow, shadow one short video this week, and practice flowing clusters daily. Gradually, your voice will rise, your hesitation will fall, and your fluency will grow. Fluency is not a gift. It is a habit. It is built in private, through mirror practice, shadow exercises, emotional speaking, fast drills, and daily repetition. Others will only see the result when you start speaking confidently, but you will know the truth. Fluency was created through consistent effort, small daily victories, and the decision to keep going no matter how awkward it felt in the beginning. The world will one day hear your fluent voice and admire it, without knowing the quiet work behind it. Fluency does not belong to the smartest people. It belongs to those who refuse to stay silent. And your fluency begins the moment you decide to train, speak, and own your voice. You do not need permission. You do not need perfection. You just need to begin and continue daily. This is your time to speak, your time to grow, your time to build the voice you always wanted. When you train your mouth, your mind, your rhythm, and your courage together, you do not just learn English, you become a speaker of English. And once that transformation begins, your life changes with it.